This is a mistake that did make in my first marriage. We did not discuss finances.
At all.
I didn't have no idea what he was making. I had no idea what he was doing with his money. He knew I made more. That was a problem.
Mm-hmm.
It drove him to go make more.
That's the inspiration.
Because I don't know if it was inspiration or competition, but whatever it was, he made him go and do it, right? So whatever it was that drove him, he did it.
He was constantly complaining about money because at this point, I'm making a lot more than him. Mm-hmm. He's having an issue with it. Even though he wasn't contributing him as much, he felt that he should know about all of my finances, and I just didn't agree with that.
You're not married.
We're not married.
You're not married. And what was the reason? Did he ever say what the reason was?
And we're supposed to be working towards something. Why can't I know?
Okay.
He really wanted to know things about the insurance policies that I had. Was he?
You're not married. Not married.
Not married. Exactly.
Oh wow, that's crazy though. Because
what's the purpose?
Exactly.
You've been 8 years together, and you said he proposed a year in, but then y'all 7 more years. Y'all wasn't really working towards that. So I personally could not. No offense, but I personally could not go that length of time if marriage is something that I wanted.
Yeah.
It's 1 year, you propose, but we not working towards that and we not having the proper discussions and we're not doing like, what's up with that? So to me, it would have been dead. The more you stay in a situation that is not the right situation for you and you deep down in your heart, you're like, something's not quite right, but I'm going to still rock with it.
Yep.
The less time you have to find a situation that is for you.
Right.
You linger too long, then you stuck.
Joe?
J.
K.
Joe JK. All right now.
And today's topic is marriage, cohabitation, and money. You have 3 different perspectives sitting here. We have our famous Key.
K. Okay.
She's been married for well over 20 years. She's been with the same partner for about 30 years now. But she's still married, happily married.
Happily married, yeah.
And we have our girl over here, Janine J, that was married. She's actually separated right now.
I'm damn near divorced, girl.
Until that happens, she is separated.
If you want to speak legally, but go ahead.
Yes. And then you have me. I've never been married. I've been in long-term relationships, but I've never actually walked down the aisle. So you're going to get 3 different perspectives on how we feel about the subject.
Raven's chiming in too. She probably got something to say.
It's all good.
Kiki being our relationship goals, we are looking for advice from her for her to let us know what tips, what we can do to keep the longevity of a relationship.
Can I just interject for 1 second?
I know what she gonna say. The fuck is Kiki?
So no. Actually, funny story, but like down south, some of my cousins, they used to call me Kiki, so it's okay. I am one that is a firm believer that you should never have like relationship goals. And the reason why is because you don't know what those people are doing behind the scenes. You only know what you see. So that's just me. Like I've never looked at another celebrity couple or anybody like, oh, those are goals. And maybe because I'm in a happy marriage, but I just figure like do the things collectively that you both love to do to love on each other. And we're putting in the work. I don't know about them people that be on Instagram and it look good. Like, just like, now you know me, you know us.
This is
so, but
your relationship.
I know, but then there's still some, like, you never know what goes behind closed doors.
You're not there 24/7.
Right.
You're not there for every intimate conversation.
But I understand where you're going, but.
My thought on this is I don't need to be behind closed doors because I know both.
I get that.
And her husband, because I've known her husband longer.
Yes.
So based on my interaction with them for over 34 plus years.
Yes.
I look at you guys. I see your interaction.
Yeah, I get it.
I see the chemistry there.
I get it.
To me, that's something that I would like in my life.
No, I understand.
So
I get that.
In this sense, are a relationship goal for me.
I understand that.
I don't speak on everybody, but there's not too many people that I can.
I understand. I get that.
To and say they got it and they got it right.
And I feel you on that. I feel you.
So I was going to say, while it's not relationship goals in terms of trying to reach and be what that couple is over there, it could be relationship goals of what you want to have in a relationship from that perspective. So, right? So while what she sees and witnesses between you and your husband is something that she herself wants, but not just because you guys have it, but it's because that's what she wants for her and what she needs to have. As her. And but to your point is like you both have to work towards those things. So you have to love on each other. You have to. So for you to reach those quote unquote whatever those goals are, y'all have to be in it together and do it together.
You got to keep choosing each other. That's why I always say you got to keep choosing each other every day.
Reference a goal, that's the goal.
That's it. You got to keep choosing
each other
every day. You wake up, you roll over.
Gym, hot damn it.
Damn it! That's what you got to do. Is like you got to keep every day. I got to keep choosing him. He has to keep choosing me, independent of whatever is out in environment, right? What we're exposed to.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter because he keeps choosing me now.
On the mad days,
on the angry days,
bother with you,
I still choose him. Absolutely. I still choose you. So, but at the same time, in order for somebody to want to choose you, you got to do something for them to want you.
Yeah. Right.
So there needs to be some action behind it. So they'd be like, you know what? Because he is the way he is and what he does for me, I'm going to keep choosing him and vice versa.
Yeah.
Right. So, but if you start to act funny style, then you might wake him up. He may roll. He could roll over and be like, you know what, bitch, I don't choose you no more. And that, so
and whatever
then we got to work through that if that was to ever come. But that to me, I think is you got to keep choosing. And then, in order for you to work through it, you also have to have that foundation, the ability to talk to each other and really be open and really be honest and being able to receive what's being said. Sometimes I think people don't want to share shit because they're scared of repercussions.
The feedback.
Yeah.
They're scared of the feedback. Yeah. To your point, the repercussions, they don't know what's going to...
They don't know what's on the other side.
Or they may not even be ready to hear the feedback.
That's it too.
Yeah.
That's some real shit, so it's still things even 30 years that we still are sharing about each other. Still.
Because you're still learning yourself even through your marriage. Like you're still two independent people. You grow, you learn, you mature, and shit changes. Like
shit changes.
What you did and was
absolutely
10, 20 years ago, you're not that anymore. And you're still evolving. And so you're still figuring out things for yourself that you have to share with your partner because they don't know these are the things that you figured out or, at this point.
But even that, allowing both of you guys as you're growing and learning each other as you get older, the ability and that each other giving that allowance to let that happen.
Absolutely.
That goes back to the conversations and being chosen.
And I also think it's about sometimes it's about releasing certain expectations.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. So I think sometimes we have a certain expectation of what we think is right or wrong or whatever. That my view may not be his view.
Yeah.
So.
And that's okay.
And that's all right. Yeah. Because you can't be like projecting like this is the way and you view that way because it is. No, you have to, okay, so this is my view. Let me hear your view. How can we meet in the middle?
Right.
Or maybe I learned some shit.
Disagree.
Or maybe I learned some shit. You know what? I didn't even consider you.
And don't turn.
Let me now consider,
who's right, who's wrong.
That's right.
Again, this is how you view. This is how I view it, and be okay.
And be okay with that.
As long as it doesn't negatively impact one another, it's like, what are we
really talking about? You know what I mean?
Agree to disagree.
My opinion.
Agree to disagree. Yeah.
And yours.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
So I think that's just my thing. Again, I go back to you got to keep choosing your partner.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only way it's going to work. And not be easily influenced by outside stuff, not be easily influenced by other couples, by what you see. And all of a sudden you be like, why can't we be like that? Because again, you don't know. They may have taken 20 years to get there or 2.
And that's when...
Because they both are healed souls, so
the wrong goals to have.
That's right.
Your relationship is not going to be the relationship. Man, that takes you back to. Did you guys just get to see the movie Vicious Affair?
No, I'm gonna watch it.
All right, this little small piece right here.
We gon'
to that. So yeah.
So now,
she done turned. She done gave you the shoulder. Damn.
I had to.
Yes,
this is a big topic.
Okay.
separate bank accounts or shared?
We have both.
Okay.
Because, again, you're talking about 30 years together.
Yeah.
Right? And what is it, 27 years, 28 years married, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Look, we got married in 95. Y'all do the fucking math. Shit. And we've been together for 3 years more than that. Anyway.
Love is...
love has always been there. So, but we learned like, okay, so the joint account is for the household expenses.
Yes.
That is anything that goes into that account that satisfies the household collectively. Now,
is it even?
I mean, for the most part,
okay.
for the most part, we don't do like the fucking cable bill's $300. You put $150. I put $1. No, we don't do that. Right. But no, where's your $150, motherfucker? You know, we ain't doing that.
Or
you know,
break it down by bill. Like
it depends. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So we know. So here's how we do it. If you want to say even, if you know let's hypothetically say if your household expenses is $6,000.
Okay.
Right? So if that is what it is, then we know
that $3,000.
If that's what it is, right? Or it could be 4 and 2, or it could be, so it depends, right? Yeah. So bottom line is that checking account, that shit is for the motherfucking bills.
Okay.
All right. Then we have the joint savings. That's for
vacation.
If you want to go on vacation, you want to buy the kids, back when we was like tricking them all out totally for Christmas and stuff. We don't do that. The motherfuckers just get money and love. But they grown. Plus, anyway, that's a whole nother story. So that's for stuff like that, I have my own account. Okay. He has his own account. Because I may want to buy, I don't know, maybe some Louis Vuitton boots. I don't know. I'm just, or maybe a bag, or maybe this, or maybe that. That does not impact this big account. That doesn't impact that. Or maybe I want to trick out on him and buy him something. Okay. Right? So that's coming from mine.
Yeah.
Okay. I have my own checking and my own savings. And he has the same.
Yeah.
So
that's how that works.
How much is in his, or do you guys share how much you have saved?
So the fucking bill comes in the mail. So if I want to open it up.
Statement.
No, I'm talking about, the statement.
The statement. That's what I mean, the statement. If I wanted to, you asking why do I know?
Statement coming in the mail.
When we were killing trees. I'm sorry, but
it's not about the killing the trees. It's about protecting your privacy. Whole other topic. I just have to jump in because this.
So I know
this is a hot topic for me.
Okay,
well, go ahead.
But I'm saying, there are some of them we do electronically, but there are some statements that still come. Yeah. So if I wanted to see it, I could see it. I'm not overly concerned. To be fair, I'm not overly concerned with what he has, and he doesn't even bother me about what I have.
Okay.
Because
as long as that comes down to
we never
bills.
Some men are very sensitive about.
Yeah, no.
That.
No, we don't even I don't even inquire, and he doesn't inquire, unless it's a situation where like collectively whatever in here is not covering. It's like, oh, do you got blah 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 so we can cover, and we both do that. Same with me. I'll ask him, hey, she's looking a little tight, whatever. So that's a different scenario, but we don't even have to we don't even have those types of discussions, because what this is, number one, this is the house.
Yeah.
So there is no extracurricular unless that shit's taken care of, right? Yeah. And then if we talking about like other expenses, like outside or other investments or whatever, that's a whole, I believe like you own another house or investment, that's a whole nother bank account for that. Mm-hmm. That's completely separate. So our investment properties and stuff like that, rental, that's a whole nother bank account for that. Okay. It doesn't even touch my stuff.
Yeah.
And
so
with that, you guys always have discussions around what's going to happen next before someone spends money out of that account.
Which account?
The business account.
Yeah, but the business account is more so for like the businesses.
Yeah.
So it doesn't that has nothing to do with whether I want a bag or a suit or.
No, I'm talking about when it comes to business decisions. You guys are partners, correct?
Yeah, but not. I mean, we're partners on most things. I mean, most of the things, yes, for sure. But like, if it's a collective, if it's like investments around property, yeah, we have discussions about that. We have goals. No, I know. There's like we know these are the goals that we're working for together, right? In terms of like my own separate business, that's him and I talk about it, but he doesn't even have any say because he's not a part of that. You know what I mean? So he'll give me recommendations or advice or stuff like that, but that's something completely different. And then he does his thing on the side. Recommendations or whatever, but I'm not, that's his stuff, so, but collectively, anything that's collective, of course we have discussions and it's a collective decision that's being made on how we move forward, right?
Yeah, at the end of the day.
Because you got some couples that don't
No, because at the end of the day, everybody is separate, right? They do people do things that work for them.
Yeah.
So like when you talk about, for instance, you talk about accounts, separate accounts, joint accounts, whatever, how you decide who contributes what. Some people, look, they do 50-50. That's what they agree to up front, no matter how much one person makes versus another.
It still fits. Some people do
percentage based off,
That's correct.
When they have the conversations, the honest financial conversations, it helps them make those decisions.
Yeah.
It makes sense. Some people just do stuff out of like, they're not even having a conversation. No, this is what you do. This is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And do that lead to success for some? Who knows? You don't know. But at the end of the day, people do things differently when it comes to, because I used to be like, I never forget, I had a friend that told me, we don't have no joint account. They lived in the house together. I think they were married at the time. I could understand maybe a little bit if you're not married, but if you're living in the same dwelling and you're sharing expenses of that dwelling, to your point, it should be one joint account towards that.
Put it in there.
Yeah.
But that's
easy.
But they were like, nope, we have no joint account. We have separate accounts. I pay this bill, that bill, that bill. He paid this bill, that bill, that bill.
Some people do
and
that.
I'm like, I thought that was weird to me because my thing was, at the time when I was married, my thing was too, we have to have a joint account for the house. You can have me, and we both had savings accounts, and we both had other checking accounts outside of our joint account. I can't say we were as successful in the conversations or managing like that, but we knew that joint account was for the house. And as long as household was taken care of, that's fine. Do what you want to do. Didn't happen evenly, but I digress. But the thing is, I thought it was weird when I first heard that, because even after that experience, I was like, I still would think I would want a joint account to take care of the house.
Yeah.
Because I know that's guaranteed.
Yeah.
If both parties do the right thing. And then anything outside of that is like, it is what it is. It's whatever. It's nothing for you to be, if you have it, you have it. You don't, you don't.
Yeah.
But mainly take care of that thing. So to see one view that way, and then to have my experience in the view that I think it should be in, or thought it should be in, I was like, I shouldn't think that way anymore. If that's how they do it and it worked for them, it works.
I mean, that's the thing. I think ultimately you got to do what works for you and that you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
That's the main thing, is what you are comfortable with. Because the way we do it may not work for a lot of people.
Right.
A lot of people, you, to your point, you could do the percentages and all that stuff based on what a person brings home and do it like that. Or like maybe one person pays the mortgage, but then someone else pays every other bill, which, to be fair, could equal out. So I mean, it all depends. And then you have some where the man pays everything, and then the woman doesn't do, and that's, some people do that.
Allowance.
And some people,
it's a housewife.
If the house, right. So you have that too. So I mean, there's different scenarios. I mean, I say do what works for you.
Yeah.
The reason why I ask the question, because 9 times out of 10, men are the ones that have the ego behind their decisions when it comes to the household. Money and anything like that.
That's shifting a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's shifting. I think you have women still opinionated.
Oh, yeah.
About that.
Yeah. Probably some of the men from in our age group, that's just what that is. But even some of the men in our age group, I won't say all men, but some of the men in our age group, they're comfortable, not making all the money. They're comfortable as their significant other being the
some of them.
I'm like, it's you get you have a broad range of how people feel about it, but to see the comfort more than before, and I don't know if it's just because the women are the breadwinner, because you also find a lot, I won't say a lot, but more men are staying home while the wife is out.
You can do that too.
So then now that that's shifting
to some degree, not all of
them. Right for a man who is supposed to be the man of the household, even though he's not contributing to the household as much as the wife because she makes more. Does that still give him, or do you feel he has a right to just go, like, I know one couple who share one account. Everything that they make goes into this account. She makes a lot more than this person does. But he seems to think that whatever's in that account, he has a right to without discussing.
It depends on the expense.
The spending. This person doesn't care whether or not it could be expensive or it could be as much as $5. If it's a household account or it's a joint account, whatever is there, regardless of who put it in, I can go and spend that money without consulting
A significant expense would have to be a conversation, right? It should be a conversation because this is an account that's being shared. We're both contributing our salary. Well, I don't care if it's percentage. I don't care if it's all of it. I don't care. A significant expense should be discussed whether they come out of the joint account or not, in my opinion, right? Even if it is your account, it's not asking permission. It's just having a financial conversation. The financial conversation anything in a relationship have to continue as always. You can't stop having conversations just because, okay, I saved all this money. I can do whatever the hell I want with it because it's in my account. It's still coming into the household, whatever it is. Because for instance, God forbid something happened those funds are needed and you went and made this extravagant expense.
Yeah. Right. So there's a couple of different things to tackle on this topic, especially when you are married, right? And the reason why I say you're married, unless you live in like a common law state, because God forbid when your partner reaches or transitions to the other side, if you have all these other accounts, you need to know what's going on. Yeah. Right? You need to know what's going on, especially if, let's say, they didn't have insurance or whatever the case may be. And I think so many couples are not even talking. They're not on the account. They're not talking about this shit. Now, when you're married, obviously, you have the right. You have the right to see it when, but even then, that can be problematic sometimes, right? So, and not a lot of people are talking about that. So you need to get that down, which is why there has to be some sort of visibility to some degree. Yeah. In terms of, okay, what are we really talking about in terms of our finance? And whether that's a quarterly discussion, an annual discussion, it needs to be talk, especially when you have kids. Yeah. And then, if something happens, like if God forbid something happens to me, he needs to know all my assets. Yeah. He needs to know what's going on. Because it's going to impact him. It's going to impact him and the kids and vice versa. If something happens to him, I'm going to need to know everything. Yeah. So that we don't have like situations where you got a random account over here and it's been sitting there for over a year and nobody knew about it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Mind you, we struggling. Not that would happen, but I know situations of other families where you fucking struggling and man, he done had all this money. But you see what I'm saying? But I never had that dialogue or that conversation.
So the root of my question was pertaining to that, because I know both of you. I love you, Richard. Your personality is stronger than his. So when it comes down to the household,
on the outside,
on the outside, carry on.
Okay. I just wanted to know how those discussions around money and how
we have this, like, we don't
know, because you've lasted for so long. Yeah, I know that's a major part of any relationship. So what was your advice?
So I want to just reframe. So it's just to you said, like, it's not that my personality is stronger. Is I'm just more of an extrovert than he is. But he has a very strong personality and we'll flex when necessary in true Aquarian fashion. Yeah. He's very demure and quiet, but when he needs to flex, that's what he does. So it goes back to that foundation. Okay. Like legitimately when we were just like, I say small tykes, because we were so young, but like really having that conversation very young. Like we were this is before we even got married, we were definitely engaged, but like really having a conversation around finances. Like, what are we doing? Because when you young and your 20s and we were in our early 20s and you fucking around, you done got exposed to credit and shit. Nobody done taught you about that shit. You done blowing up. And he had good credit. And when I tell you tricked on me, we were going to A&S and all that shit. Baby, what you want? Swipe. What you want to choose? Swipe. And it was, and you know what I'm saying? So we fucked up some money. Yeah. Okay. Let's full transparency. Like there's been times where we always had jobs and stuff like that, but then we were having fun in early 20s. No one told us about financial literacy. Like we had to figure that shit out. I shouldn't say nobody, because my grandfather did instill certain things to me. That's for a fact. But some of that shit you hear and hear, but you gotta learn. I want that bag, So you gotta learn. Yep. So Richard, thank God he's always been, even though nobody taught him about that stuff, but he did his own research when he was very young. He's always been good with money. Like hang on a sec. He got caught up in that fucking credit card, and it only took one time. He's like, oh, hell no. So then it got to the point he was like, okay, Kira, like, chill. Because I spend shit. As soon as I got it. What? Yeah. I work hard. What? It's like, no problem. It's like, pay that when? So, but then I had to learn, okay, hang on a second. So there were times when we certainly fucked up money. And then we had to like reel it in and be more responsible. But those times, I guess everything happens for a reason, because that's when we start having those conversations. Like, hang on now, and it took time to be like, you know what? That makes sense. So and then what are our goals? Yeah. Do we want to continue renting forever? Do we want, we started having those types of discussions very, very early on, before we ever bought a house, before we were having, it was crazy, entrepreneurial discussions, but before we couldn't even think about it, we just didn't have the money or the capital before we even had the kids. We were like teenagers, But so all those, it starts with that foundation. If you don't have that, then you can't expect to talk about real issues like finance without that foundation of being open and honest during discussions. That's my take.
Yeah.
Relationship goals.
Oh, girl, so crazy. Now she gonna give me the damn shoulder.
I know.
Jesus.
She on her interview mode today. Interview mode.
So now, Miss Jen.
Yes, what's up? What?
You were married for over?
I was married. I was married for all of 3 years. We were together a lot longer.
Yeah.
But legally married, we were married for 3 years.
Backstory.
But we were together probably almost 10 years before we got married.
Damn.
Right?
Yeah. Almost 10 years before we got married.
So what was your experience?
As far as?
Even though you were together for that long, but only married for 3 years, what was the reasons behind, but give me the top 3 reasons why you guys just didn't work out.
Communication, for sure. Okay. Communication, 100%. It just didn't happen organically. It always happened under circumstances. I won't say finances 100%, but finances played into it, because there were things that I started to want to do for our family that conversations weren't happening. And when they did, they weren't pleasant conversations because they didn't want to be had.
Okay.
That's where the finances came into play, because it's time to buckle down. If we're going to do X, Y, and Z, we got to do X, Y, and Z. Like, how are we going to get to home ownership? How are we going to do this? How are we going to do this if we're not having this conversation, right? And it went back to something you mentioned earlier about the joint account and spending whatever you want to spend despite what was contributed, all that kind of stuff. So while household expenses were getting paid, it still wasn't an equitable share of what was being spent outside of that account. So that's where the savings account came in. Listen, something got to go, automatic savings. So I've been doing automatic savings forever, because you don't see it. You just work with what you have. So we both established those accounts, but in a period of time in our marriage where we had no real expenses, stupid financial decisions were being made, which was not getting us to the goal. A kind of a discussion happened, but I get into my moods where I know that shit don't make sense, so I don't want to talk about it. Like, I'll talk about it, but I'll say, because in a conversation of this don't make sense, talk about it. Why are we doing this? And then if you want to proceed, I'm not having no more conversations because I'm wasting my breath. Because you already did it. Anyway, or you already did it. But at least you knew how I felt. So stupid financial decisions were being made that should not have been made, because we should have been in a better position where we had less expenses than we were when we had expenses. And I mean living in our own place. And it's not that we went to go live somewhere because we couldn't afford. We went to go live somewhere for the goal to buy. And that just wasn't happening. So, but again, that wasn't the thing that broke up my marriage, because I was still willing to ride that out. It was other things on top of that.
Would you do it again?
Get married again? I'm on the fence. But I will say, if I do, we going to the justice of the peace. It is not being no big old shebang. And I'm going to tell you, my wedding, in my mind, I didn't have a very expensive wedding. But I still know that it was money that could have went to better use, because we paid for our marriage ourselves, which was starting to become a trend. Parents wasn't, well, that depends on how you brought up. I shouldn't say that. Anyways, for us, we pay for our own wedding. But I'm on the fence. I'm like, I love the institution of marriage. I love the institution of having a family and stuff like that. But I'm not jumping in a rush to get to the altar. If I get there, I get there. If I don't, I don't.
How long have you been with the person that you are with currently?
I want to say either 4 or 5 years. I lose count.
So now it's almost 5 years.
Yes.
Has marriage been discussed?
It's been discussed in group conversations, and we both said if the opportunity happened and we both wanted it, then yes.
Okay. So are you guys living together currently?
No.
Do you have plans on living together in the near future?
I think when we're both fully empty nesters, I think it makes the most sense.
Okay. And it's been discussed. So you guys are looking forward to that moment, or?
We talked about something not actually here in the States. We talked about something outside of the States.
Yeah. Fancy.
I feel like we pushing the cart before the horse, but hey, we both have our own homes,
Okay.
right? So that's not for lack of not having a home that one of us need to go be in each other's home. We have our own home, but we talked about having a summer home together. So yeah.
But you wouldn't do that until marriage was in place.
I don't know. I'm not. Those things don't, to me at this point in my life, I don't feel like I need to be married to have those things, to do that. We would do it right. We would do it.
But names is on it, deeds, contracts, the right way. You don't need to be married. That's like a business.
To do it the right way, basically.
Yeah. I know. I'm just there's different opinions on that situation. If you're in it, so
yeah. I mean, if we were cohabitating in the same house, maybe. But again, still, I feel like we did it the right way. We got the papers set up the right way. We don't need to have marriage to do that.
So now. You don't live together. You live in separate homes. Does he still, as your man, contribute to your household without you asking? Is it because he's man, he feels the obligation to help?
Yeah. I mean, if you're talking about paying a bill specifically, no. But in many ways, yes.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. He don't own a bill per se, but he contributes in a good way. Yeah.
Okay. Financially.
Physically, helps me out with things.
Okay.
Take care of things around the house. Yeah.
So now you see we've had two different perspectives on this. So now we're going to talk about me, the person that's never been married. I've had long relationships. My longest was 15 years. That situation was just totally different. But at the end of the day, when it had to do with money, he was an individual that always gave me his check. And whatever was left over, yes, he was very old school, and that was something that I've always commended him on, because there was moments where he was the only individual at that time that made more than me depending on the job that he was on. So it was still always about every Friday when that check came home, it was given to me. And then I would give him whatever was left over. And I always commended him for that. It wasn't always equal, but it worked out in that particular moment for us. I've never been a strong component on getting married first and then getting to know your partner, because I believe in the institution of marriage. I take it very seriously. And until I have what I'm looking for, I don't want to just settle with being tossed like a baseball card, because that's how I think a lot of people view marriage now.
So, can I ask you a question?
What's that?
It's 15 years, and y'all didn't figure out whether y'all wanted to be married. So, and I go back to even the question you asked me about my significant other, how long we've been together, have we talked about getting married? While we have not talked about getting married, we know that we would marry each other if we talked about it, right? If it's something that we wanted to do, because we figured that out at some point within the, I would say, early part of the 4 years that we've been together. 15 years. And you guys didn't figure out whether you were going to make it last. Or get married at that point.
I mean, we had discussions around marriage. I treated our relationship as if it was. And it was a learning, it was a learning period for me. The one time that he did ask, there was no ring. And it was just always felt like no matter what, we were an item. Somewhere down the line, I started to look at it as, we've been together this long.
We're married.
Just get married.
Oh.
He wasn't ready at that moment in time. It was always, we were both in different periods where one would be ready and the other one wasn't yet because of
Different
situation.
times.
Yes. And unfortunately, towards the end, it just didn't materialize because I was now finishing college. I was saving for a house. Discussions was had around what I was expecting in this particular time because I had goals that I was setting for myself. We weren't in line anymore.
Yeah.
That was the one time that we opened up a joint account. And for the 2 years that joint account was open with me and his name on it, he never disrespected the idea of that account by going in it, but he never contributed neither. So when it was time for me to say, you know what, I'm ready to buy a house, it's either now or never because I was hoping to do it with him, but it didn't work out that way. And that was what finally at the end separated us. So after that, now I'm in my 50s, early 50s. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm just at a point where there's just certain things I'm not going to tolerate. There's certain things that I don't want. Yeah. And if I can't have it, I can live in my own misery by myself.
All your own happiness. All your own happiness.
You make it sound like it's horrendous and shit.
So let me ask you this.
No, because I'd rather be miserable by myself than miserable.
I get that.
You know misery loves company, and we ain't joining that party.
Yeah.
So
I can be miserable by myself.
I get it.
So let me ask you this. Because I was after having been separated for the long time. So when I met the person that I'm with now, I never forget I was talking to Shaq before I met this person, maybe a year or so before. And I was like, listen, the person I meet, that nigga ain't saying nothing in 6 months, I'm out. She was like, 6 months? Damn, give it a year. I was like, nah, I don't have time to wait. Time is precious. Because before that, let me say something. I was seeing somebody before I met him.
Okay.
And before I knew it, a year had hit me. And I'm like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
It's a year. A year went by like that.
Yeah.
So when I met my guy, him and I had that conversation. His first conversation was, what are you looking for? Like, are you looking for marriage or whatever? And I was like, not necessarily per se. We talked about marriage. We talked about religion. We talked about a lot of significant things up front. And mostly initiated by him. So, but I share with him, listen, I don't want to be here in a year from now. We still trying to figure this out. And and he heard me. Yeah. He heard me. He didn't say when he was going to do it or when he was going to say, he didn't even make no announcement or whatever. It was in an introduction to his family. Okay. And I was like, okay, he heard me, So you're out in the dating scene. You're into dating now. How like what's your timeline of wanting to know where you stand with the person?
The person I'm with currently, we met in November, but we did not really make it official until my birthday weekend in April this year.
So that was
I'm giving him until March to let me know where this is going.
So that's about a year.
That's about a year. I'm not including when I met him because we was just talking and hanging out
as friends.
Yes. I'm just at a point now, I don't want to waste any more time.
Right.
The relationship that I had before him, we were together for 8 years. He proposed to me a year into the relationship. I just assumed, based on how we were moving, that we were working towards something. I knew he wasn't ready to get married quickly because he was going through or just got divorced 2 years prior. And I know some men, it takes time for them to want to move. So I was being considerate of that. But then it got to a point where he was constantly complaining about money because at this point, I'm making a lot more than him. He's having an issue with it. This is why I asked the questions about finance. Even though he wasn't contributing as much, he felt that he should know about all of my finances, and I just didn't agree with that.
You're not married.
We're not married.
You're not
yet.
married. And what was the reason? Did he ever say what the reason was?
If we're supposed to be working towards something, why can't I know everything?
Okay.
He really wanted to know things about the insurance policies that I had, was he?
You're not not married.
Not married. Exactly.
Oh wow, that's crazy though. Because like
what's the purpose?
Exactly.
You've been 8 years together, and you said he proposed a year in, but then y'all 7 more years. Ain't nothing really. Y'all wasn't really working towards that. So something. I mean, again, this is speaking to the married woman that's not been on the scene, but I just know my tolerance level, right? So it's like, all right. Well, what are we doing? Because I personally could not, no offense, but I personally could not go that length of time. If marriage is something that I wanted, it's 1 year, you propose, but we not working towards that, and we not having the proper discussions, and we're not doing what's up with that. So to me, it would have been dead. Yeah. Because then I'm going to do, because I find like the more you stay in a situation, that is not the right situation for you, and you deep down in your heart, you like, something's not quite right, but I'm going to still rock with it. Yep. That's the less time you have to find a situation that is for you. Yeah. So if I'm a believer, and I was like, I ain't going to stay too long. You linger too long, then you stuck. Yep. Right? So, nah. And then when you even give them the, all right, I'm about to go. Either they're going to shit or get off the pot. Either if they want to keep you, they're going to be like, all right, let me get my shit together. Or not, they're going to be like, all right, bitch, deuces. You know what I'm saying? So
how that happened was after the 6 years when I was getting tired, I gave him, I won't say an ultimatum, but I made it clear to him if we're not moving towards this goal within this amount of time, we're going to have to really reconsider what we're doing and whether or not we're just going to go our separate ways. This is all around the time that I was being poached by another nonprofit. When it was found out how much I was making, that really kind of put a damper on a lot of.
That's his problem.
Yeah, exactly. Insecurity. Yep.
I kind of knew and I saw the signs, but the way it happened, I was kind of disappointed in how he answered.
He should have been supportive.
Yes, but it wasn't.
Or that should have motivated him.
Yeah.
I just have a different philosophy. Yeah. It's like you got to either be supportive because it's for the common good.
At least you know supportive. If your job is not my job, at least support me.
Just support. Be like, yo, baby, that's fantastic.
Which is the same thing I tried to do.
You know?
Yeah.
Same way.
Like, I'm not telling you got to do what I do.
No,
like,
you don't. But you got to be supportive of me and be like, okay, what do you whatever. Be attentive and be supportive. Exactly. And at the same time, maybe if that doesn't give you enough drive for you to be like, yo, well, let me try to get my little side hustle. Let me try to do this and this and that.
But it wasn't so much of the supportive side because he did support. What his issue was, I didn't put him on.
What?
Yeah.
What? I don't understand.
I didn't
get a job.
Get a job where he could be making more than what he was currently making.
Is that your responsibility, though?
I didn't put him in the right situation because of this environment I was in to push him to.
Well, let me ask you that. So
I'm towards that end.
But now is he in the field that you could do that? Did he have the experience that you could have?
No,
got him.
So then, what the fuck are you talking about? That doesn't
make sense.
And I don't mean to be like an asshole.
Yeah, it would. It was just things that was being said.
He was basically like, use my skills and find me another job.
Yeah.
But see, that's not so.
Not if it doesn't relate to the work that I do or the people that I know. I can't.
So
even still.
He didn't care if it was maintenance in the kitchen or anything like that. He knew based on where I was working at.
He would have got paid more money.
Yes.
But so
he didn't care. He just said, didn't matter what his resume looked like. I should be able to get him a job.
Nah. But whose responsibility is that?
You got to do some work, man. You got to do.
So I'm not saying to be an asshole, but it's like, because I'm a big believer in putting people on when I do that.
But what work are you doing for me to even pull you?
Like I'm a big believer in the connections, but at the same time, it's like, what the fuck are you doing? See, I don't like that self-entitlement thing, and that's when I feel like people be taking me for granted. It's like, where's your initiative? What would you be doing if I wasn't If I wasn't here, what would you do? Like, would you still have the drive? And that's why I'm saying, like, that's why I made the comment. That you getting the promotion or whatever, a new job or whatever, like that should be inspirational. Yeah. You know, and you should be like, yo, that's dope. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Now let me see what because I would always get inspired, like, wow, that's dope. Let me go see what I could do. And it's not a competition thing. It's a wow, you inspired me to be better than what I'm doing.
Yes.
And if you knew I had some sort of connection, hey babe, I'm putting could you help me get my resume? You know, can you pass this on to so and so? Do the work. Don't expect you to do the work. You can make the connection, but you can't do the work because no matter you making a connection, you still got to go on there. You still got to have that interview. I can't have that interview for you.
Yeah, that's whack. That's whack.
So he like, it's like, so he thought that you gonna be like, this my man, hire him.
That was pretty much the vibes I was getting when it started getting to a point where he was making comments.
That's some unrealistic expectations.
And then it came down to...
You know what? I think I see why. Now I'm really trying to, because you have given family members. Mm-hmm. And I see now why. I was trying to join the connection.
But her experience aligned.
I know that. I know that. But, and even then it's like, okay, but to Janine's point, what are you doing to even try? Mm-hmm. So, and listen, I'm not, again.
But back to Kira's point, it's like, even your point, like you finally figured out that how much precious time is. Mm-hmm. And you've given yourself a window of, this is when I want to know something by this date. Mm-hmm. And that's where I got to at that point. Like, if I don't know nothing about to say, okay, it's time for me to move on because I don't have time. If I want, because I love the institution of a relationship, a good, healthy relationship.
Yeah.
At the time, yes, I wanted to be married. And it's not to say that I don't want to be married today, but at the time I wanted to be married. So I believed in the institution of marriage, raising a family up together as a, husband and wife and kids or whatever have you. Or if you don't have kids, whoever your partner is, y'all growing old together, y'all learning, y'all doing whatever y'all doing together. I love to be with somebody. I want to be in a relationship, but I'm not going to be with them at the expense of me. So I'm not just going to be with somebody just to say I have a man. Yeah. I'm not going to be with somebody just to be with somebody. So whoever that person is, they have to get me, understand me, and I have to get them and understand them. Like, it's a two-way street here. But I'm not going to sit here and wait 3 and 4 years it's for us to figure out we don't got each other.
No, I feel you on that.
So your thoughts then, because I don't necessarily now in this stage need to be married, but I need to know that our union...
We want to be together.
Yes, and I want to make sure that we are benefiting each other.
So when you say benefiting each other, what do you mean by that?
Finances. What's the stipulations if something were to happen to you? How does where the kids are involved, it needs to be legalized in some way. So
here's the thing with that. I think you have to prioritize those things first of all, right? So what's the most important to you? So you want to be in a relationship, you want to be in a healthy relationship, right? Is your goal to live together when you say understand what we're doing, where we're at, and or does it matter if y'all not living together? Because if y'all not living together, where does finances come in at? Technically, I mean, they do play a part. At a point now,
I don't necessarily need to live with you, but at some point, it would be nice to share a household.
So you want to cohabitate with your partner, and with that comes shared expenses, and with that comes a financial conversation and discussion.
Yeah. I know.
So
would you get married? No, because my question should have been: would you get married first before moving in together, or?
Right
at
now,
some point, if marriage is becoming more and more a topic where you guys are agreeing, this is the date, do you plan on moving in together, or are you going to wait until you actually get married to do it?
Those are different conversations. So it could go one way or the other. So if we're talking about moving in together and cohabitating, that's a different conversation. If we're talking about getting married, different things happen or add on to that conversation. So finances is going to be a part of all those conversations, right?
Okay.
And because the one thing I'll say, and this is a mistake that I did make in my first marriage, we did not discuss finances.
At all.
I didn't have no idea what he was making. I had no idea what he was doing with his money. He had no idea what... He knew I made more, and that was a problem. And, but it drove him to go make more.
That's the inspiration.
Because I don't know if it was inspiration or competition, but whatever it was, he made him go and do it, right? So whatever it was that drove him, he did it. But we didn't have those conversations. So that was a breakdown in our community. Like I told you, communication from the very beginning. But the thing I would do differently now is we would have conversations about finances. We would have the conversations that impact us living in our own environment and not living together. Because you don't have those conversations on a day-to-day basis with them because y'all don't live together. But when you start talking about, okay, now we're going to live together. Okay, now we're going to get married. These are the things that impact me in my day-to-day life. And that's finances, that's health, that's physical health. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would say we have these conversations now because we're 4 years in, but it'd be more in depth.
Yeah.
Like, so I need to know exactly what I should or should not do should X, Y, Z happen.
Yeah.
Because in a position, technically, especially married, to make those decisions.
Yeah.
Where we're cohabitating, that's a whole different legal realm, but it's a conversation that has to happen no matter what.
As we close this episode out, given dating, marriage, etc., what would you tell your younger 20-year-old self? How would you step through dating? Would you do anything different? What advice would you give your 20-year-old self?
Do not settle. Don't just get into a relationship to have one. Make sure you know the person that you're dating. Make sure conversations and communication is key.
Like, meaning that's the foundation.
That's foundation. You have to have communication. I'm learning more and more. Communication is gold. I was just one that I will admit a lot of times if it wasn't my way, oh well. And do not settle for the idea. Make sure it's truly something that you want and that your partner wants. It has to be even decision.
When you mean the idea, you mean marriage? What are you talking about?
The idea of marriage, period. I know what caused me not to be married now. And that's what I'm working on currently. But I'm still just at a point I'm not willing to settle. And if I can't have it how I would like it and be...
Well, okay, I'm sorry. Have what?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Have
love,
what?
Love, understanding, trust, and communication. We talk about everything.
So what does what kind of love?
Speak on it.
So let's dissect that. When you can't have love, what do you mean by have love in what way?
Just have love for each other.
The way you want it.
Yes. Not so much the way. It has to be a mutual thing. Make sure that you both love each other.
Okay.
Well, everybody has a different love language, right?
Yes, yes. That's what I was trying to get at. Like, what does it mean for you?
Yeah, what does love mean for you? What does love look like for you?
Communication and loyalty.
Loyalty. So love, when you say communication, you mean like someone telling you they love you?
Or just talking to you.
Or just telling you as well as showing it. Okay. Sometimes you like to hear it.
Yeah.
Don't just assume that that's how they feel. And I know people show it
different ways.
Actions, and they show it different ways. But it is nice to hear it every now and then. And you don't have to say it every single day. It's not a necessity.
And the loyalty is basically like being you are the one they choose. You're the top dog, and that's that. And you will,
and nothing infiltrates that.
Yes. There's nothing.
I'm with the only.
I'm one of one. I'm one of one.
Right.
The only one. Damn right.
That's right.
I know that's right, honey.
Yeah.
All right. Jay, what advice would you give you?
Communication. Speak up. You can't control how the other person receives a message as long as you do it respectfully and honestly. I also would tell myself, make sure I know who I am because I'm going to attract what I want.
Yes.
Living in my truth. Yes. Being who I am. So I can't say I want X, Y, and Z and I'm acting like X, Y, and Z. No, I got to act and be what I want in my relationship. So be that, exude that, carry that with you each and every day. And I know people have a thing with putting everything on the table on the first date. Get that shit out the way to me. Get it out the way. And then it's going to lead to other conversations that, like, if they want to know more, or you want to know more, y'all going to come back for that second date. Because, I mean, it may be a heavy, let me take that back. It don't have to be super, super heavy, but the things that are really key to you, speak up front early in that. And then it's going to lead to deeper conversations down the road. Yeah. Because now, 5 years in, if you get that far, because you shared those things up front and y'all both was aligned in those things and it led to different conversations, 10 years, you're going to have different conversations, deeper conversations. Yes. Now you're changing and you're growing, but you're growing together because you are in alignment from that first interaction.
Yes. And it's funny. I had those conversations. That was the one relationship that I tried to do it right.
Yeah.
Sure. Within the first 2-3 interactions that we established what we was looking for, what the goal was, where we were moving towards. Shit, the first 6 weeks of our getting to know each other was by phone. We did not have our first date until 6 weeks in, just having phone conversations. So I thought that I was doing everything differently. And my mother, when she first met him, was like, just give him the opportunity.
Yeah.
You gotta let him lead. Because I had an issue. I was always 50-50. I could say what I want. I don't give a fuck how you feel. 50-50.
Leading and not saying what you want is a very different conversation, and I think we're going to carry that over to another topic.
Yeah, we'll cover that in another. We'll do a part 2. Matter of fact, on that end, let's end this because we're going to do the next one. We're going to record as part 2. Cheers.
Cheers.